Hello, everyone. This is Renee Rand, and this is Powher Hour. And I am so excited because I have a special guest with me today. He's a dear friend of Veronica and my Veronica. Keep her in your prayers. She had surgery, shoulder surgery today. She's at home resting and doing well. So we'll see her next week on the show. But today we're going to be talking about mindset and menopause.
Woo!
And seriously, menopause and all the things that come with it, all the symptoms women talk about, hot flashes, they talk about brain fog, they talk about all the things that are going on in their body. A lot of it has to do with mindset. And so today we're going to kind of dive into that part of it. And for a lot of women, it occurs between the ages of 40 and 58. Of course, some start sooner, some start later. It's a little different, but we have perimenopause, postmenopause, and menopause. And during that time, so much happens to the body. So, our purpose of this show is to help as many people as we can with their health and wellness. And like Robert and I were just talking about mental health and mindset. So I'd like to introduce Robert Ferguson. He's a clinical nutritionist, dear friend, amazing person, author, and researcher. And we share a lot of the same ideas about what we're talking about today. And so, welcome, Robert. So happy to have you on the show.
Well, it is great to be here. And again, prayers and quick recovery for the one and only Miss Veronica. So we look forward to you coming back. Uh,
Absolutely.
but there's probably my top 5 things I like to talk about. Are 2 of them are in this conversation, like mindset. So as a former U.S. Marine, martial artist, mindset, mentality. Like I get it. I have a master's in counseling psychology, which kind of ties into mindset a little bit. But menopause, I'm intrigued with, and I know a lot about it, and I have never experienced it.
Well, however, men go through andropause,
Okay.
so I don't know why they called our part menopause and your part andropause, but there are different parts that affect male and female. But we're going to talk today about the mindset and why it matters because
Mhm.
I think going through any kind of wellness situation or a situation where you want wellness to be the focus has to do a lot with mindset because when you decide, whatever you decide in your brain is what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing all the good stuff, you're going to get more good stuff. If you're focusing on all the BS, you're going to get more BS. It's a law of attraction, and it is part of that. What you focus on expands. So how do we set our expectations, Robert,
Mm.
to keep our mind in the right place when we're going through so many symptoms?
Woo! I mean, that's loaded there, Renee. The first thing that comes to mind, and I would just want to just put this out there for everybody, is don't confuse willpower with mindset.
Agree.
Okay, that's very important because people will put themselves in a category where they will beat themselves up because they can't stick to something, and in their mind it's like they lack willpower because they set their mind, right? You set your mind to do something and then you don't do it, then they go, I don't have willpower. And I would say my thing is never count on willpower. The most disciplined Marines will lose discipline. We're all human beings, so none of us are perfect. But mindset, woo, let me go back. Like, ask that question one more time, Renee.
Well, how do you frame what you're going through when you have all these symptoms going on? How do you frame your mindset around dealing with all the symptoms that you have while you're going through menopause? So
Woo!
how can we set ourselves up for success, in other words?
Okay.
We talk about all the individual things like hot flashes and brain fog and all the different things, but what can we do in order to be able to start making a difference?
I would say the first thing is put yourself in a place where mentally you're in a place of acceptance. So that means accepting whatever is your reality. So I believe in this thing that there's two realities, Renee. There's a wanted reality, like something that I want to be a reality, and there's an unwanted reality, things that I really don't want, but the reality is it's still happening, right? So, like I have certain things that I want, and when they become a reality, I'm happy about that. Nobody's upset. But I think when you set your mind and you're going through menopause and you're old, you're at that age where these things are happening and you heard about it, you read about it, and now you're experiencing it. It's a reality, and it's not one that you want, but it's one that is real. It's an unwanted reality. And I think when you can place things in realities, you can easily accept what they are. Doesn't mean you like it, doesn't mean
Right.
you want it, doesn't mean you condone it, but it's a reality. And I believe that that is, if people can get that, every part of what we talk about moving forward will be beneficial.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecies, believing that menopause will be awful is just going to increase your risk to actually experiencing severe symptoms. So instead of thinking it's going to be awful because we hear of all the jokes about, hot flashes, I always call them power surges. I want to reframe everything that goes through my brain. Years ago, I had decided to become a certified master hypnotist. Now, I didn't do that to get people to cluck like a chicken. I learned that skill so I could learn the word connection to the brain to help get more positive results.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think reframing that in our brain, it's like you said, we're expecting one thing, and until we get reality in those expectations, we don't get it going the right way. So, the brain and body connection. What would you say is the brain and the body connection in all this when we're talking about mindset and menopause?
Well, so mindset for me is something that is developed and is not something that's automatic, right? So if you look at the word mind, we think of our brain, right?
Right?
And then for me, when I think of brain, I think of perception. I also know that the second brain is the gut, which means how healthy I am plays a role in the strength and my perception, right? So perception is what I believe is possible, what I believe is real, right?
Right.
And that goes back to wanted, unwanted realities, right? Because when something is not wanted, then people fall apart. But if acceptance doesn't mean that you have to fall apart. It just means you accept that it's a reality, and then you pivot your mind to stay inclined to continue going toward the thing that is most important to you. So for me, setting the mind or mindset is accepting what what I'm about to experience, right? Because you're setting. It's like if you and I are going to race down the road, on your mark, get set, right? Set. So we are set. We both know that we're about to run as fast as we can, and I have a goal of outrunning you, and you have a goal of outrunning me. But
Right.
it's set, and then we go. So for me, when I went into the Marine Corps, for instance, I went in open-minded because you must be, and then you get thrown into something, and you either are going to accept that reality and then give it your best, or you're not. And the ones that don't, they don't make it. It's kind of like if I went to prison, I think there's a mindset needed to survive prison, right? Once you get in there,
Yes.
It's an unwanted reality. I'm in full acceptance. This is my reality. Let's make the most of it. If you wake up tomorrow and you got hot sweats and all that, okay. If I can accept it, then I can find a solution. If I'm battling with it, then I'm complaining and I'm eating myself up, and you just, it's like being in quicksand.
Well, stress and anxiety are going to worsen anything that it comes to
Hey, that's what I'm
our
saying.
brain. Yeah. So
Yeah.
adopting maybe a calm, accepting situation on whatever's going on, and like you said, then finding the solution on how to make it better, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Now, do you ever see a video when they had the Buddhist or the guy who is like all like present, and he sits down into like a Buddhist type squat, like sitting with his legs crossed. They put gasoline on him and then they light him on fire.
No, I've
You
never seen that.
okay? And I'm not asking everybody to go do it.
No, I'm not going to watch it either.
Okay,
Okay.
but the point being made, he set his mind that was his ending. And it may be wanted or unwanted, but he set his mind. So there was nothing to complain about when your mind is set. So if everybody woke up tomorrow and said, okay, my mind is set to live my best and healthiest life, which I don't think
Correct.
most people have done that. Once you set your mind, that doesn't mean that you don't bend, right? It's kind of like, I always think of like how I think of mindset in my martial arts mind. I see a tree and I see the trunk of the tree that goes into the ground, right? You got these branches, and that's where the stability is. And then you have the trunk that goes up, and then you have branches, and then you have leaves. And all of those branches are flexible. And I believe that that's a big part of mindset, is that we want to be flexible, not a pushover, but flexible and accepting and constantly on a journey to learn. And most people aren't that. And I think our culture is designed where we're not that, because most people, right, rely on their doctors to help them navigate how they're going to deal with menopause.
I would agree with that. I would also say that because there's so many hormonal shifts when you're going through
Mm-hmm.
midlife, that can lead to brain fog. Um, but we can either look at that as something that happens naturally with menopause, or we can find a solution so that it diminishes that brain fog. Now, we talk, you and I talk about omega-3s all the time and polyphenols. Could that make a difference?
Oh, I mean, okay, if I was a woman, I mean, same for a man, 1000%, I would make sure that I have good cell membrane fluidity. Then that's behind you. So balance oil, or like getting the balance test, find out what your numbers are. And most women, let's say 99.8% of them, they go to an OBGYN, they are not looking at their omega-6 to 3 ratio.
Right.
And you know what's crazy? They don't even understand that. And that is like the foundation to menopause. So I'm going to call the balance test, gives you the numbers. That's the found. And if you push back on it, which I know you normally wouldn't, because you and I get it. But if you
Right.
think that if you respond based on people who don't know what you and I know, I'm totally cool with that. So, because I'm making a big claim right now. The balance test looks at 11 different fatty acids, and it gives you ratios and a deeper understanding of what's taking place on a cellular level in your body. I believe that is way more important for perimenopause and postmenopause, before you start looking at estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, insulin, thyroid hormones, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because if you're putting hormones, if they're prescribing some kind of hormones, or you're doing hormone replacement therapy, then your body's not naturally producing any of it. You're overloading your body, and then you have a different set of challenges that come up along with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, let's start at the basis of, you know, how I feel about cell membrane fluidity.
Uh-oh, watch out, everybody.
And I'm a big fan, because when I first heard about that, listening to one of your lives, that was my light bulb moment. That was my body saying, that's what's going on. You're eating right, you're doing all this other stuff right, but it's that, you know, you're not balanced, you know. So that was a good solution for me, and it changes a lot of the things. And when we're talking about mindset, I think a lot of people set themselves up to have like their own little mindset traps. You know, what they believe to be true from their life experiences and what they don't know. It's like the doctor that doesn't know about omegas. It's about um the public that doesn't know how horrible our food sources have been since 1960, and how out of balance everybody in the United States is, and we need to do something about it. So I think having that reset and setting our mindset to be more health conscious, um, moving forward in the right direction, taking better steps, all those things are going to help us sail through menopause with a
Mm-hmm.
lot less challenges.
Amen. Okay, so I want to take a step back if you don't mind.
Nope, let's go.
So those of you who are hearing cell membrane fluidity, and I notice there's quite a few questions coming in, so we got a lot of questions to answer.
Okay.
But let me set the stage here as far as we bring up cell membrane fluidity. I believe, and this is to every OBGYN, everybody dealing with peri and postmenopause, please hear my words, and I'm coming from a place of love, compassion, and respect. Cell membrane fluidity may play a bigger, huge role in menopause than most people realize. Most people they never even hear about cell membrane fluidity when they go in with menopausal symptoms. Yet, it may influence energy, inflammation, which I think we all agree is important, hormone signaling, which we can explain, insulin sensitivity, which is the opposite of insulin resistance, brain health, and even how the cells communicate, which plays a huge role with estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, you name it. Every cell in the human body is surrounded by a membrane made largely from fats. And this is where omega-3s come in, and omega-6s. And when the membrane becomes rigid and less flexible, which is what Renee is referring to, it makes it harder for nutrients, oxygen, hormones, and signals to move in and out of the cells efficiently. And during menopause, this is what many women experience, and correct me if I miss anything, but they experience increased inflammation, reduced insulin sensitivity, more fatigue, brain fog, joint discomfort, slower recovery, and changes in mood and cognition. So I'm gonna pause there. Am I on the right track, Renee?
You are very much on the right track. Very
Okay.
much on the right track. And wow, we do have a lot of questions in here. All right. Well, do we want to start with some questions in
Yeah,
amongst our discussion here?
yeah, let's do that. And as you get the questions ready, let me just say one more thing that
All right,
guys,
perfect.
this is not Renee and my just our opinion, like we woke up in the morning. The data is very clear. Okay, researchers support what we're saying that omega-3s, and you got to have the right one. Okay, omega-3 status and unhealthy omega-6 to omega-3 ratios contribute or may contribute to less flexible cell membranes, which worsens many issues. And what are we talking about? How well insulin receptors work, neurotransmitters signaling in the brain, mitochondria energy. We're talking about cellular health, inflammatory pathways. None of us want inflammation, and hormone receptor sensitivity. That plays a huge role from the fact that you have cholesterol as the base of your hormones when we're talking about menopause. Without cholesterol, there is no estrogen. Without cholesterol, there is no testosterone. Without the communication between the cells, which goes back to cell membrane fluidity, you cannot optimize. There we go.
So true.
Okay,
So
let's go.
true. All right, let's go. All right. All right. First question is coming from Susie. She's asking, would Tai Chi be a good possible solution to improve your mindset during menopause?
Well, I think Tai Chi would be a great stress reliever. It's kind of like praying or meditation or yoga. Tai Chi is something that is great, right? Because you learn there's form, there's techniques, there's breath. All those things are helping to optimize the nervous system, which I believe is a contributor to helping you better cope and deal with the stresses of life that can make your situation worse.
Okay. Candace had a similar question. She was asking about does meditation help manage symptoms that come with menopause?
It does, but right? It does, but certain things are physiological, right? Like if you don't have an adequate amount of omega-3 in your body, if you have poor cell membrane fluidity, yet you're like trying to learn how to meditate, you want to fix the things that are part of the anatomy, the biology. And then the coping part of it, right, is when you can take classes or you can enroll into programs and you can learn to kind of cope mentally and deal with the loud voices of stress that many people end up experiencing, which is not good. But right. Don't forget to put the oil in the car. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think people do. I think people forget that all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, I know a lot of people that do, you know, many homeopathic choices for what's going on in their life. But sometimes they put the cart before the horse, you know, they're not either doing it in conjunction of what really needs to be done, or, you know, they're just trying everything willy-nilly. And I don't think that's a good direction to go in either.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, for sure. All right. Beth is asking, what kind of action can she take to change her mindset during her menopause to improve her health and well-being?
So do you know Beth?
She's in our group.
Okay. So is she on Balance Well?
Not yet. I don't think.
Okay, well that's the
balance
first place.
Oil would be the thing. Okay, let's Sean Balance Oil, Beth. We're gonna talk afterwards. Okay.
I mean that's number one, because that's helping mentally, that's helping the brain, that's helping the body, that's helping everything work more efficiently.
Yeah, for sure. And Judy wants to know, how does connecting with others going through menopause help the journey become more manageable? That's why we're here.
I think that's
why Powher Hour exists.
I agree.
So that we can talk about the things we need to discuss, and still at the same time be able to, you know, get the information out there and share. You know, we want to share, like, subscribe, and put it out there for as many people to come get information as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. I think that's so important. So important.
Yeah, community, friends, a community of like-minded people who trusted, real information, no lies, no bull crap. I think if you guys have that, a Facebook group where people can share their experiences.
We do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Lynn is saying hi from Hawaii to us. There we go. Miguel is in here saying good evening.
All right,
All
Miguel. See that?
right.
Look at that. So there's men that show up.
Yep, for sure. And let's see who else is in here. Let's see. Okay, Lynn had another. Mindset is a choice that we choose as we pivot and refocus what we want in our goal for that moment. So true, Lynn. Good job.
Right, Lynn's trying to be a philosopher.
She is. She is. She also said that there's a gentleman that speaks to that. A David Bear speaks to that subject that she wanted to share.
All right. Well, I
Oh,
hope David Bear has helped you out, Lynn, with your
yep.
mindset.
All right. Sandy said, I'm in a few groups for menopause, and people are talking about going on GLP-1s for menopause. It's horrible what people think GLP-1s are for. Robert, I know you have got some great information to share on GLP-1s.
Well, you know,
Please share.
I did a video yesterday where I watched these two women who are like what Sandy mentioned. They were in menopause. I don't know if they're peri or post, but they're in it. And it's really sad because they're blaming their weight gain or challenge to lose weight on menopause, and then they jump to a GLP-1 drug. And the reality is that is not that's not real. We live in a world, right? When I grew up, everything was about calories in and calories out. And weight gain, everybody, during menopause is often more about hormones instead of calories. So many women notice that they have increased belly fat during menopause, even though they're eating the same way. Everything's the same. But what they're not looking at is that there's changes in insulin sensitivity. There's changes in stress hormones, sleep, muscle mass, and estrogen can contribute to shifts in body composition. So it goes back to cell membrane fluidity and then pivot from there. It's not about eating less. And they get on these GLP-1 drugs, and what they don't realize, and the day will come when a lot of these things are going to be taken off the market because of the damage that they're causing. I mean, imagine just jumping on a GLP-1 to lose weight, you're in menopause, and then we find out in 3 years that now you have some real problems that you can't get out of, and you got to start looking at saying goodbye to people. That's where we're headed.
I think it's very scary. And I think that I know because I've been to doctors that encouraged me to do that, and I just won't do it. And it's just, you know, there's too much research showing too many problems that are coming along with that. Let's straighten out things like cell membrane fluidity and get on the right path before we start taking some of these crazy over talked about things like GLP-1s that are not really doing what they need to be doing.
Amen. You got it. Come on.
All right. All right. So, all right, that was the last question there. No, wait. What do you do? Hold on. Kimberly has one. What do you do for someone who can't take omega being allergic to fish and seafood? We have an answer for that, don't you, Robert?
We do. They have a vegan version. So remember, the fish get their omega-3s from eating algae. So algae is the beginning. It's like the alpha and the omega. So the algae, you can get just straight algae with nothing else in it. So there's a vegan version of the omega-3s. It costs, I think, $10 or $15, $20 more, but you're getting direct from the algae and no fish.
That's amazing. Yeah. So there are a lot of different choices. So when somebody's looking at balance oil, there's a lot of different forms and fashions. If the liquid, if you're drinking the liquid in the little shot glass with half water and you
Amen.
don't like that, you can take it in a capsule. If you travel a lot and you can't refrigerate your bottle when you're traveling, there's the capsule. So, I mean, there are choices about things that you can do. And when we do go to our next show, Robert, I was thinking that we need to talk a little bit about testing and about people choosing what kind of testing they can get done to see how they can start fixing a lot of these challenges they're having. So we're
Amen.
talking about mindset today, but I want to talk about the functional side of it next week on the next show, so that we can kind of add to that and get things more going in that direction.
Yes.
Mindfulness is I've always felt like mindfulness is a choice. I
Yes.
mean, I've always felt positive my life growing up. My
And
parents
just
were
I'm
always
still here.
very,
I
very
gotta grab something, but keep going.
okay. I was very my mindset was always very positive. My parents were very busy. Didn't matter. I gravitated to things that were busy and positive and things that were happening. And I chose a mindset that made my life for me a lot easier. And I think that many times people are so used to not having a good mindset or a positive outlook on life that they settle for less than what they deserve or less than what they could experience if they put their brain and their thoughts and their focus into something different. So, let's refocus. Let's get focused if we've never been focused. And let's start putting some of our own personal brain power towards some of these solutions that, we haven't used or haven't been using. If you're one of those people that have never, gotten into your brain power, your mindset and developed it, it's never too late. You can start today on making different choices about the things we think about. I don't watch the news. Somebody says, well, how do you know what's going on in the world? Somebody will tell me. If I need to know, somebody will tell me. But I don't pump anything that I feel like my body can't handle. And I've watched the news with somebody else had it on and I start crying.
Mm.
So I know that news is not a good place for my mindset to stay in a positive, functioning, anti-stress situation. So that's something that I personally do that makes it a little bit easier for me, but everybody's different. So you can cultivate that positive mindset through shifting your focus or, just deciding what you're going to change and make those choices. And start with one thing at a time. Lots of times people want to change everything overnight and that can be overwhelming. So let's start with maybe your one menopausal symptom that is most affecting you. And let's start there.
Mm.
And then we can add and find solutions for other things at the same time.
All right.
So, what do you think, Robert?
I mean, I don't know. It all sounds great.
Well, well, everyone is different, and self care can come in many forms.
Yes, I'm with you.
So, we want to take time for you to accept your body, your feelings, your needs, give yourself permission to do something different, maybe
Hmm.
than you've done before. Say no to a commitment if it's something that stresses you out. Exercise, take a nap, relax in a warm bath, eat a healthy snack or eat healthy meals, schedule some time with friends. Be open to all the things that are possible that can make such a
Right.
change for you. And
Okay.
remember, you don't have to um, let society dictate what menopause means to you.
Right.
It's individual. Instead, use your months of transition as your, or years, depending on how much you're in the middle of your menopause, for self discovery, personal growth, and by working now, today, on reshaping your views around menopause, aging, and the possibilities for the next chapter of your life, because we all have a lot of life still to live. But in
Okay.
order to do that, we need to do it healthy.
All sounds great, but let me take a step back.
All right.
I'm gonna give you an example, and I'm not asking you for the answer. I
Okay.
want the people who are listening to answer this question, and I'm making a point. You ready?
All right. Yep. Ready.
How many days is a person or does a person experience menopause? So I would like everybody to answer that. How long does menopause last? And see, some people who know me, then they see that's where I don't like sometimes when people who know me and they have the answer, sometimes I need them to pull back because most people do not know the answer to it unless they've been around me and they've learned from me. Most people do not know the answer to how long menopause lasts. It's one day. One day. Perimenopause, and then you have menopause, 24 hours. You never have a period again. Then you're postmenopausal. So my point is there's a lot of people that talk about menopause and they don't even know that menopause is one day. That's simple. And I think once you help people understand the basics of that, it's kind of like going back to the alphabet. Once you know the basics, then you can build off of that. You have building blocks because people talk about menopause and they just talk about it and just keep it moving. And they don't quite even understand the difference between perimenopause and postmenopause. And I'm a man, and I'll never forget Dr. Sharon Oddie. I was on a tour called Beautiful Women Inside and Out. She was giving a presentation and she explained that about one day. And I was like, now to me, that was like mind blowing because almost every woman I would meet didn't know that. And I think it's kind of like omega 3s. Most people do not know the importance of omega 3s getting into the tissues and the cell membrane. And they're living a life with no understanding about that. And it plays a huge role on how they live their best life. You know what I mean? Like, this is critical. And so it gets overlooked because we're living in a life where everything is fast and moving fast and moving fast. You know, it's kind of like the lady who asked the question, I'm allergic to fish. And I'm glad she's here because now she knows that she can actually still get access to healthy omega 3s that is not marine based. It's vegan. Anyway, I don't want to ramble, but I hope you get the point that I was trying to make there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Chrissy wanted to share with everybody that she's an example of going through menopause with no symptoms. And she feels like that's definitely from taking her balance oil.
Amen. I mean, that's great. When you hear the world complaining about symptoms and then you're not experiencing symptoms. I mean, my mom, like I remember I would watch her just break out in sweats. Like, man, like she was sweating. Those sweats were like crazy. But she was the beginning of the groups when they started looking at hormonal replacement therapy for women. She ended up getting breast cancer shortly after that, which I believe played a role in that. But she experienced all of the negative symptoms. But there was no balance oil back then.
Right.
You know? So she definitely was out of balance. Yeah, it's all intriguing. you know. But the one thing I would
Well,
tell yeah, if there's a take home, I would say get tested with the balance test and get on the balance oil. At least fix that part of your life. That's it.
and I think by doing that, people will say, "Well, I'm already taking an omega-3." Well, we know that all omega-3s are not created equal.
That's amen.
So, and you've tested so many different ones to come up with those results to know that. So, Robert, I think we should invite everybody to hop on the call tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Pacific time to find out more about balance oil if they're interested, and get a chance to really check out what we're talking about, because you go into so much more detail about cell membrane fluidity and all that. So I think we should invite everybody to join us tomorrow. What do you
Amen.
think?
I would say everyone, if you're on our sites, my site, Power Hour site, Renee, Veronica, every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, we have a talk. And what we do is we teach so you have a better understanding of what we are referring to around cell membrane fluidity, this balance test that you can get, learning about omega-6 to 3 ratio. Like all of that is explained. We try to make it where it's fun and you learn something new and different every time. And so, yeah, look for the link and then come, because you deserve to know.
You do.
Everybody deserves to know. It's kind of
So
going back
true.
to, yeah, it's kind of going back to what I was saying earlier. It's like, or I was talking to someone earlier today. It's like, I love going to parties or gatherings with a bunch of people, because you're going to have three topics come up in most situations where there could be a debate. That's religion, politics, and diet. Because everybody believes that their diet is all that. And so everybody who's a dietitian, nutritionist, health coach, weight loss coach, health advocate, enthusiast, if you are not aware of the importance of omega-6 to omega-3 and the balance test, you want to make this a priority. If you want to be in control of your own health and be your own health advocate, same for you. You show up tomorrow. It's free. I mean, how much better is that?
Absolutely. When you're informed, you can make better choices as well. And, we can all
Amen.
get more educated. I want to thank you today, Robert, for being here, and for everybody that showed up live for us today. Looking forward to the replay, and please share and subscribe and like all of our channels and everything that's going on. We're on YouTube, we're everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So please get on there and share so we can share the wealth. We're going to talk about some other interesting things about testing and results and things that we can do to benefit ourselves next week. And again, we're sending out their prayers and love to Veronica, our co-host, and just looking forward to everybody having a wonderful week. So please stay tuned. And oh, by the way, next week we are giving away our romance package from our masturbation Monday last week. Okay, we have a package to give away, but I want to wait till Veronica's back so that we can do that together. So please share the live, be in there, make comments, and your name was in that drawing for a self-care package of some wonderful romance goodies. So can't wait to see you on the next show. We'll see you
Woo.
then. All
All right,
right,
you
bye
guys.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. Peace out, everybody.